think so. Yeah. That- yeah. I feel like the room might end up being too full, but I think it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Folks, we're about ready to start the services. If you'd like to take a seat, please. Thank you. I don't know what it is, but I'll just leave it there. Baruch Dayan HaEmet, we praise the Judge of Truth. We gather to recall and to pay tribute to our dear Jackie, beginning with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Aliten lamot raglecha al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha v'oecha me'ata va'ad olam. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken our beloved Jacqueline White, our dear Jackie. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Jackie's love that united so many people in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that was shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind which brought joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief, and so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite the 23rd Psalm in English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We have several eulogies this afternoon to speak about Jackie and Nana. We begin with granddaughter Danny and Lena.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here. I'm Allie's daughter, if you don't know me. I'm Danny. I remember being at way back when, and I remember my beautiful mother saying such beautiful words about her Nana. And now I've been given that same gift to say beautiful words about the daughter that Rachel raised, my Nana Jackie. This might be a little long. But before I want to get into the person my Nana was, I really wanted to recognize the beautifully strong woman she raised, my Mom, Allie. Mom, you've been my rock my entire life, and at the end of Nana's, you've been hers also. The amount of time and effort you spent taking care of Nana, with all the visits, grocery shopping, moving apartments, and overall love you showed her, it's nothing short of moving and inspiring. She's so lucky to have had you as a daughter, and I'm so lucky to have you as a mom. I hope to take care of you down the road, but I don't know if I'll do as good of a job. I'll try, though. I've been very blessed to have wonderful grandmothers, Harley and I both, my little brother. They each made up the woman that I have become today. Both of them taught me the importance of family, and oh boy, is Jackie White's family big. But how lucky was she to have such a big, loving family? However, one thing that stood out about this side of the family, it's something my mom brought up a lot as a kid. It was filled with boys. So I feel really, truly honored to be one of Nana's many granddaughters standing here today talking about this incredible woman who passed during International Women's Month. When I think of my Nana, of course loving comes to mind. But I think one of the rare qualities she had was tough love. My Nana was a tough cookie, and that showed through and through. She put up with no BS. And I think when I was a kid, that used to scare me a little bit. But now I realized what a powerful quality it was that she had. It made me think about the strong foundation she came from and the strong foundation she built for us. She was gentle but tough and altogether strong. I think that's something that was hard to appreciate when I was little, because oh my God, was I a sensitive child. and this showed in a memory I have of us in Florida. When we'd go to Florida, we would always go orange picking. And one year, I fell flat on my butt from tugging too hard, and I was so embarrassed. So when Nana chuckled at me, it was hard for me to understand why that was okay back then. But now I realize it was because she was a person who could still struggle, but she didn't let the setbacks get to her. She could laugh off the small stuff, because if she didn't, she would be a completely different person that I knew. She taught me that it's okay to cry if you fall down, but that you need to bandage it up, sometimes laugh about it, and then get back up again and pick that perfect orange. And in life, stuff comes our way that can mess everything up. But her resilience, bravery, and courageousness is something I strive to eventually have. And I wish she was still here to help me through my own obstacles. But now, whenever I come across a roadblock in my life, I'll remember her and everything that she achieved. And I'll try to use that as my inspiration to get everything that I want out of my own life. My Nana's strong attitude allowed her to gain control of her life. She knew what she wanted in life and wasn't afraid to take all the steps to get it. She was so put together, organized in her calendars and checkbooks, knickknacks and all. She was a cook, a golfer, a traveler, a leader, a loyal friend, a loving sister, a devoted wife, a hardworking mother, a generous grandmother, and most importantly, a damn good bridge player. She did it all. And I'm happy that growing up I got to be a part of that. It started in Columbus when Nana and Papa still had the house that my mom grew up in. How cool is that, to be able to see where your mom was raised and make your own memories in the same backyard that she grew up running around in? Columbus, Ohio will always be a special part of my childhood. I remember Nana's room, the wallpaper, and the big bathroom she had with tons of makeup and jewelry that I loved to try on when I was little. I remember the sunroom that we would lay in and play rummy cube and go fish. I remember the tribal pattern couch that she would sit next to me on and read to me. But a whole other half of my childhood with Nana, and a whole other half of her adult life, was in the Villages, Florida. Oh, I loved having grandparents who lived in Florida. I would look forward to spending winter breaks there and going to the pool. We were definitely in Florida more than Ohio once they sold the house in Columbus. Spending time in Florida with Nana was special. She would take me out to get lunch and then to get my nails done, which was a very special treat. I don't think I'd ever gotten my nails done any other time when I was little. And once Nana moved to Chicago by us, then I started being able to take her to get her nails done. It was a very special tradition we kept. I always remember just feeling safer and happier in Florida, too. Nana shared her bed with me, and I remember you could hear the train from her bedroom. It always scared me as a kid, but when I had the comfort of my Nana with me, I was able to sleep tight. Plus, she didn't mind the 17 stuffed animals I needed to even be able to fall asleep. Florida was just the place where we got to do stuff. And although I couldn't see Nana that much throughout the year, when I did, the things we do together always made up for it. I'm proud that I had such a cool Nana who lived such a fulfilled life. I'm grateful she got to let me be a part of that. From all the trips we took together, from Wisconsin to Mexico, to the Bahamas, to Puerto Rico, to Pennsylvania, to Disney World, she made sure our family always had fun. One last memory I'm going to share is one that I knew from the moment that it happened I'd be talking about this at a funeral. I believe it was this past December. Over the past few years, I've seen my Nana's decline with her dementia firsthand, and I'm grateful that I got to spend so much time with her through every stage of it. To be able to hold on to the moments where she truly was herself to some degree, completely present in the moment. This one moment we shared in December, I was sitting down at her bed holding her hand. And most of the time she was kind of looking at the ceiling, and it was kind of hard to get her to smile. And in this moment, she just kept staring at me all of a sudden with her beautiful big blue eyes. And I said to her, What are you looking at me like that for? And she smiled. She said, Because you're so pretty. Pretty in and out. And I said back to her, No, you're so pretty. She lived a beautiful life. I'll miss you, Nana. I hope you're up there in heaven drinking a Bloody Mary with your friends who have been waiting for you and your family who loves you unconditionally. Till we meet again, your granddaughter, Danny.
To those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. Alina?
wasn't planning on speaking today, but I wrote a letter to Nana last night that I wanted to share with you. I'm Lena. I'm her oldest granddaughter and grandchild, and I brought Samantha up with me. It's my sister, her other granddaughter. Yeah. So this is, it's written as a letter to her. Dear Nana, thank you for teaching me what it truly means to be loved unconditionally. You always smiled at me, looked at me, talked to me like I was the greatest person on the planet, just for existing. Every single time I called you, I could hear your smile and your voice as you said, "Hi, Lena." Just the way you said my name made me feel special, cherished. You showed me what it feels like to be loved deeply and fiercely, in spite of my mistakes, shortcomings, and far too infrequent phone calls. I was your Lena, your first, and rumored to be favorite, grandchild, and there was nothing I could do to lose that precious place in your heart. I wish everyone could be as fortunate as to be on the receiving end of love as unwavering as yours. And I hope that if I have any grandchildren one day, that I can make them feel even half as loved as you always made me feel. You were always there for me. And while I can't always be there for you now, I will always be your Lena, and you will always be my Nana. And you will always be with me in a very precious place in my heart when I go out dancing with my friends at Jackie's Bar in Portland and order a vodka cran, when I go to the nail salon with Samantha and Danny, or see your name on my phone when I call Papa, or maybe he calls me now that he's learning how to use the phone. When I have a Bloody Mary at brunch, bite into anything chocolate, or see a root beer float on a menu. When I attempt your brisket recipe, or smell hot and sour soup at a Chinese restaurant. When I walk into Forest Park Elementary School every week this school year and next, and remember where I stood when I learned you passed. Even when I get in the pool to swim laps, as I've been enjoying doing lately, I'll think of you and how that is one of the last things you would ever want to do for fun. Also, today, here with all of you, we're thinking about her, or thinking about you, Nana, and remembering how the last time I asked you what your favorite color was, you told me it was black. So, thinking about you and how we're wearing that today. Nana, your memory will be for a blessing, each and every day. I love you more than you will ever know, my Nana. All my love, your Lena.
Let us say Amen. Larry, would you please come forward and to be followed by Ephraim. Oh. Allie. Yes, I know.
Us women like to talk, so bear with me, as mine might be a little long as well. Okay, here we go. First of all, thank you, dear friends and family, for coming today or watching online to honor my mom and to offer your love and support to our family. It means so much to us. And I can hear my mom whispering, "Allie, it's okay. Don't cry. You're doing good." Like she did when I forgot the melody for a prayer at my bat mitzvah. My parents were married for 64 years. My dad absolutely adored my mom. They were partners in life and really balanced each other. And my dad truly held up their wedding vows in sickness and in health. Thank you, Dad, for always being there for her. You were so loving and patient with Mom, especially during these last difficult months. My dad loves to tell the story of when he met my grandparents for the first time. My dad was telling my Nana and Papa that he thought Jackie was so sweet. And my Nana replied back, well, Jackie may be many things, but sweet is not one of them. And my mom would chuckle and nod as she shared the story for the 100th time. Now, my mom was many things to many people. She was a caring daughter, a devoted and loving wife, a dedicated mother, a nurturing Nana, a protective older sister, and a loyal friend to many. Family was everything to my mom. She was the oldest of 4 children and took on a lot of responsibility in that role. She made sure other people's needs were met, sometimes at the expense of enjoying the moment. She was a total daddy's girl and would argue and jest with Sheila about who was Henry's favorite. My mom was so happy and energized among the Cleveland chaos. Our family often joked about being blood or water, but my mom truly loved the in-laws, the water, like blood. My Aunt Hermine was like a sister to her. And for years they had a standing call every Saturday morning, promptly at 9 a.m. She always wanted everyone to feel welcome and comfortable, as our large family could feel very overwhelming. When my husband Rob came with me to Cleveland for Thanksgiving for the first time to meet the family, my mom made sure he had enough to eat and was included in all the conversations. My mom looked forward to the yearly, sometimes twice yearly, trips to Vegas with her parents and siblings, Howard, Sheila, Ron, and Hermine. And as us kids became of age, the size of the group grew, and the laughs, memories, and the bar bill greatly increased. She enjoyed shooting craps and blackjack, cherished spending time with family. When I turned 21, she shared her love of Vegas with me as we took a girls' trip to Vegas with my Nana and my Aunt Sheila. Although none of us left as winners, we created wonderful memories together. Family was always a priority for my mom, but she was able to balance that with spending time with her friends and doing activities that she loved, like bridge, mahjong, golf, lunching, and shopping, to name a few. My mom's best friends were really like family to her. She would do anything for Harriet, or Judy, or Joni, or Trudy, and Marilyn, and they would do anything for her. When my parents moved to the Villages, she created a new social network, but stayed connected to her Columbus friends. Some of my parents' happiest days were spent in the Villages. She would call me on a cold, blustery day in Chicago and tell me, it's a beautiful day in the Villages. My mom was a bit type A. She was extremely punctual, had dinner ready every night at 6 on the dot, and kept a very neat and tidy home. My dad would purposely move these little wooden elephants out of alignment just to see if my mom would notice and put them back in a straight line, and she always did. My mom was a planner, organizer, and the social director. She became known as the general among the Khans and Calvettas because she had a reputation of barking orders, and she liked things done in a timely and efficient way. But truth be told, we needed a general. Otherwise, we would have ended up sitting around, doing nothing, and eating potato chips for dinner. My mom's occupation was titled homemaker, but she was so much more than that. She was intelligent and driven. She managed my dad's dental practice, was a member of a women's stock club, and entered many hot summer festivals and gun shows selling beef jerky with my dad and their partners and friends, Judy and Sandy Lowe. My Aunt Sheila and my mom had a saying they repeated often. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I am my mother after all. And I bought them a placard with the exact words on it that they proudly displayed. I think it's a funny saying, but when I say it, it's the highest compliment. Because to me, my mom was my biggest supporter, my teacher, my confidant, my traveling companion, my cheerleader, my best friend. We enjoyed many shopping sprees together, and she would tell me, "Now don't show your dad all the clothes all at once." And through the years, we took a few mother-daughter trips, including Las Vegas, New York, to visit Frankie and his family, but we also managed to see a Broadway show and go shopping. We went to Clearwater, Florida for a spa weekend soon after she recovered from her neck injury. We truly enjoyed each other's company. I think she appreciated that I told her almost everything going on in my life because Bill, Larry, and Frankie barely told her anything. My mom was so dependable. She was there for us, for all our activities, long-distance phone calls, celebrations, and during challenging times. She was even with me at the hospital for the birth of Danny and was actually in the delivery room for Harley. Wow. What a special moment. At my wedding, she gave a beautiful speech and talked about how special our relationship was. And it truly was. But believe me, I occasionally heard her sharp tongue, her passive-aggressive utterance, when she didn't agree with me, and I often heard her jokingly say her favorite line, "You don't call, you don't write, you don't care." Our relationship continued to grow stronger when I became a mother myself. Some of my fondest memories of my mom are of her interacting with the grandkids. As a Nana, she softened and became more playful. She did things with them that she rarely did with us. She would get on the floor and play with them, actually put on a bathing suit and get in the pool in Florida because she hated the cold water, baked cupcakes, and played hair salon or dress up. Although many miles separated us, our fun family visits and vacations together made up for the distance. One story I think exemplifies my mom's character is when I had a severe Crohn's flare my junior year of college. I remember calling her at midnight, crying that I was in so much pain. And within hours, she was on her way to Madison to be with me at the hospital. And I needed to have surgery, so we traveled back to Columbus. And I can only imagine how scared she was. But she hid her fear, and she was my rock. And during my extended stay in the hospital, my mom barely left my side. And when she needed to, she made sure someone was always there with me. Her love and support was immeasurable. And as my mom's dementia advanced and her health declined these past few years, I did my best to always be there for her. And it was my privilege to do for her as she had done for me my entire life. Throughout my childhood and young adulthood, my mom encouraged me to be independent. She supported me as I went to overnight camp, to UW-Madison for college, and when I decided to move to Chicago after graduation, she knew I needed to spread my wings and pave a new path for myself. And even though most of our adult life we were separated by several states, she was always there to hold my hand when I needed her to. And in her final moments, as she was leaving this world, I was holding hers. I will miss her so deeply, and there will be a void that will never be filled. But I know she's finally at peace. I love you, Mom.
And let us say Amen. Larry.
Hi, I'm Larry. I'm Jackie's middle son, for those of you who don't know me. My mom would often say to us when we were kids, your dad and I are your parents. We're not your friends, and we're not supposed to be your friends. And by us in this case, I mean my brothers, Bill and Frankie and me. Allie was much, much younger and had a different kind of relationship with my mom. But to us boys, decision-making in our home growing up was not a democratic process. There wasn't a lot of give and take. My mom was a smart, capable woman with excellent judgment and strong views. And when she decided something, we all pretty much fell in line. She and my dad had a traditional marriage, which in the 1970s meant that he was off to work in the morning, and she would make all of the decisions around the house. And looking back, she was exactly what we needed as a mom. She could be tough, but she was fair, and she was strict, but she was also consistent, and her decisions made sense to us. My buddy Gary Zeidenstein and I would walk home together from elementary school twice a day, once at lunchtime and again after school. Our moms were always there at noon to make us lunch and get us ready for the afternoon. Gary and I would talk and laugh about so many different things. I would mention that my mom would ask me a million questions about my day, and I would have to do my best to deflect and avoid answering her questions. And he would say his mom, Trudy, would ask him to eat healthier snacks, and to clean his room. My mom and Trudy were the best of friends. And we lived right across the street, and our doors were never locked, and we walked in and out of each other's houses. And our moms were proud of their boys, but we thought, wow, they could be so bossy. They were both expert at their jobs, which were to raise their children, and they were very much in their element doing just that. We do sometimes forget how young our parents were when they had kids. My mom had Bill at age 23, and Frankie and I followed soon after. As a kid, my dad taught me things like how to hit a curveball, and how to throw a spiral, and how to be a good teammate. And my mom taught me about the stock market, and how to calculate the betting odds in my head at a craps table, which is something you can use your whole life. And also how to be a good teammate. My mom and dad balanced each other out. When people ask me how we ended up in Columbus, I've always said that my dad grew up in Cincinnati and my mom in Cleveland, so they decided to settle in the middle and raise their family in Columbus. I'm sure the decision-making about where to live was more complicated than that, and I do think we gave up a lot, not living in Cleveland and being around this remarkable family. But I suspect my parents chose Columbus to allow my mom the freedom and space to carve her own path and build their own lives. Or maybe it was as simple as wanting to spare us kids the lifelong agony of being a Browns fan. Regardless of the reasons, Columbus was a great choice. My parents bought a house in the Old Orchard neighborhood in 1970, and they stayed in that house for more than 40 years, as Danny mentioned. Our neighborhood in many ways provided an idyllic childhood. It was filled with young families like ours, and we spent countless hours riding bikes and playing wiffle ball and football and many games of our own creation. I would say my parents generally didn't know where we were much of the time, but they knew we were safe and were with friends. My parents did spend a few years in San Diego earlier in their marriage when my dad was in the Navy, and San Diego is where I was born. My parents briefly entertained the idea of staying in California following his time in the service, but as I understand it, the conversation about whether to stay in California went something like my dad saying, "It's wonderful out here, it's sunny and beautiful, let's stay." And then my mom saying something like, "Herb, our family is in Ohio. You can stay here in California, but if you want to be with me, you're moving back." And so they moved back. And the most important decisions of their lives, my mom always prioritized family over everything else. My brother Bill, my older brother Bill, asked me to say a few things. He wanted everyone to know that my mom and dad made him feel safe growing up, and that he would take comfort being able to fall asleep at the end of the night when my parents turned off all of the lights downstairs and he could hear the sound of the garage door slowly closing, signaling the end of the day. He also mentioned that when he was almost 13 and struggling with some learning issues, my mom talked with our rabbi about doing his bar mitzvah without any Hebrew at all in it. And the rabbi agreed, allowing Bill and our family to have a very special day. That's who my mom was. She was in tune with what we needed. And she was a great advocate for us. She was supportive of me after law school when I made the choice to start my career in Chicago rather than in Columbus. And I think it's perhaps because she had made a similar decision to leave her hometown at around the same age to create her own path. Later, my mom fully embraced being a grandmother, as Allie said, and on the day that Lena, my parents' first grandchild, was born, my mom and dad flew up from Columbus to be with us. And my mom was a far more relaxed and permissive grandparent than she ever was as a parent, at least to me. And she was excited to do all the things that grandmothers do with their grandchildren. When Lena and Samantha and I were still pretty young, my mom met the three of us in New York for an outing, and we had plans to see the musical Mamma Mia, which the girls and my mom and I were really excited to see. And we found ourselves stuck in a cab in Manhattan traffic and at risk for missing the start of the play. And the situation called for an extreme solution, and my mom rose to the occasion as always. The four of us got out of the cab, and we ran 22 blocks in 20 minutes, arriving just in time for the start of the show. She was not going to be the reason we didn't make the show in time, and she wasn't. My mom was also there for me during the most challenging and chaotic time in my life. And when my marriage ended, she would come to Chicago to help me out with our kids. I'm not sure how I would have made it through that period without her. My parents moved up to Chicago from Florida in the middle of the pandemic to be closer to Allie and me and our families. But to be honest, my mom wanted to move to Cleveland to be closer to her siblings and her cousins and her other family here. But Allie and I were insistent on them living closer to us, and that's really where they needed to be. The past few years are the first time I've lived in the same city as my parents since high school. There have been plenty of challenges recently related to my mom, but my parents' move did have the upside of all of us being able to spend day-to-day time together, marking the holidays, birthdays, and anniversaries together. And for that opportunity and those experiences, I am very grateful. As my mom's disease advanced, her personality softened, and an easy sense of humor emerged that I had not seen before. Some dementia patients become very difficult, but fortunately that was not the case with my mom at all. My mom frequently said that she had lived a great life, full of the things that were most important to her, and that she had no regrets. Her disease advanced rapidly. Her neurologist said that often happens with an intelligent patient because those patients develop tactics and adaptations that disguise the disease. But my mom was still able to continue to play cards up and almost to the very end, including a very competent game of bridge. I mean, well past this stage, all of us would have thought that was ever possible. And when we asked her why she eventually stopped playing, she said it was because the other players weren't good enough. I'd like to say a few words about my sister, Allie. I mean, rarely a day has gone by the past few years where I didn't say, thank God for Allison. And I would tell her directly, too. My sister has stepped up for my parents and our family in more ways than I can count. And my brother-in-law, Rob, was there with her every step of the way. Doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, hosting holidays and birthdays, sifting through advice from family and friends, and just overall providing the kind of care, love, attention, and understanding that I think every parent would dream of receiving from their children in their later years. I'm always proud of my own children, Lena, Bobby, and Samantha, but I was especially proud of them this past year. They made space in their lives for my mom, consistently spending time with her, even though my mom was not always able to offer conversation or attention in return. And these past years had been very hard for my father, although he rarely complained and spent every day sitting with and comforting my mom. His love and respect for her never wavered, and my mom came to rely on my dad more than I had ever seen before. All of us wanted to take a moment also to thank my mom's caregivers, Jason and Tanya, who for the last 2 years provided 24/7 care and allowed her to move through this last difficult stage of her life with as much dignity and joy as possible. Jason and Tanya's compassion and abilities allowed our family to benefit from the best parts of the remaining time our mom had, and for that we thank them, and I hope they're listening today. I'd like to conclude by saying that a single day in your lifetime is obviously not a lot, even if it's your last day. That said, my mom died at home, surrounded by family, including my dad, my sister and me, and my Aunt Sheila, and my Aunt Hermine, and my Uncle Howard, and my cousins Lance and Tracy. It was a remarkable moment for all of us to be able to let her know that we loved her and that it was okay for her to let go and say goodbye. After a few minutes after my mom passed, my Aunt Hermine gently asked me to open the window and allow my mom's soul to depart peacefully. A Jewish tradition I read afterwards goes back hundreds of years. I don't know if that's what really happened, that my mom's soul departed her body, but I hope so. And I hope that she's somewhere safe now and at peace. We love you, Mom.
Frankie, Ephraim, and to those words we also let us say Amen.
First, I just want to thank everybody for coming, especially all those people that came from out of town. I want to ask my mother, Mom, I want to ask you for mechila, for forgiveness, for any or all of the pain that I've caused you in my lifetime. I'd like to share with you a pivotal moment in my life. I believe it was November 27th, 1990. I was waiting at the airport with my parents for my flight to Israel. I was going there to do an Israeli Army basic training program, and I was taken back when I saw my mother crying. This was the first time that I had seen my mother cry. The cries got louder and more uncontrollable. I never told you, Mom, how important that moment was for me. You told me several times that you would never give up on me. You kept your word, Mom. I will always love you. You were a wonderful mother because you always tried to do what was right. You were very much loved by your family and your friends. I just want to end by quoting a song that we sing on the night of Shabbat. Privilege me to raise children and grandchildren who are wise and understanding, who love the Almighty, who illuminate the world with Torah and good deeds, and with every labor in the service of the Creator. Lastly, I want to thank my father and my siblings who took such incredible care of you, Mom, over the years. We love you, and we will always love you.
And to all of those words, let us say Amen. So as we know, we have gathered here this afternoon to fulfill a mitzvah, a solemn obligation, paying our respects to the memory of your dearly departed Jacqueline White. Yenta Freda Bat Chaim Varachel is her Hebrew Yiddish name. And this assembly is a comfort to friends and family members. She was a popular woman. She was social, very well-liked, loyal, highly functioning, organized. She could cook. She made her grandchildren feel safe on the mean streets of Columbus, as they said. And as you know, she was a loving daughter and sister-in-law and wife and mother and aunt and nana, grandma, and cousin and relative and co-worker and friend. And in this week's Torah portion, we're getting close to the end of the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 35. The Torah portion is Vayakel. Now please check it. So in Exodus 35, our ancestors were commanded to bring materials for the construction of the tabernacle, the portable sanctuary in the wilderness, as they schlepped for 40 years through the wilderness to get to the promised land. They built a portable tabernacle. They would put it up when they camped. They would take it down when they broke camp, and they went. So our ancestors were commanded to bring materials, and they brought, and they brought, and they brought, and they continued to bring. And finally, in Exodus chapter 36, verse 6, please check it, Moses had to proclaim, let no man or woman make further efforts for gifts for the sanctuary. So our ancestors just didn't know when to stop. And yesterday afternoon, as we sat and talked about Jackie, it was a reminder of this Torah teaching, because in so many ways, she didn't know when to stop either. She just didn't know when to stop. She was caring. She was generous. She was punctual. As you said, dinner always at 6 p.m. She was protective. She was organized. She was loving. She was a friend. Thank God she didn't know when to stop being all of those things and doing all of those things. She was born here in Cleveland on December 15th, 1939. Her parents of blessed memory, Henry and Rachel. She was the eldest of four. Jackie of blessed memory, and Howard is here, Marianne, and Sheila is here. Ron is sick, but he's viewing, I hope, and Hermine. She was a bright and intelligent girl. Howard said she was in the National Honor Society in high school. And Sheila said we shared a room. She was older than me, and that wasn't easy growing up, but when you get older, you know, you grow closer because age really doesn't matter anymore. She went to the Ohio State University. And in 1958, Herbie White's cousin, Joni Levin, had Jackie as a roommate. And Joni thought Herbie and Jackie would get along well. So Herbie and Jackie met. And guess what? It was a match. She got her MRS degree at Ohio State. And although Herbie was going to go to dental school, he got his MR degree. I mean, you meet your spouse at college, that's your degree. It's a great degree to get. They married August 27th, 1960 at Fairmount Temple. Hermine said, Jackie and Sheila were like sisters to me. I didn't have a sister. And then she said, this might be TMI, but I'm going to share it anyway. We would go to the restaurant, and she would sit next to me, and then, you know, she would eat off my plate because she liked what I got. And then I would eat a little bit off her plate because I liked what she got. They shared a loving and devoted marriage, as you know. Many have been the blessings of family, and I'd like to take the opportunity to mention all of their names. If I miss anybody, just call it out. Danny, make sure to call it out, okay? All right. 4 children and 7 grandchildren, not to mention the nieces and the nephews and everything else. 4 children, okay? Bill and Cindy, Larry, Frankie or Ephraim, and Rachel, Allison, Allie, and Rob, and grandchildren Lena, Abby, Samantha, Malky, Chaim, Danny, Harley. She worked in the dental office. She wasn't particularly spiritual, but she was religious. The structure and the organization of Judaism was very important to her. And you heard the story about Bill said he wasn't an easy child, although his siblings said, believe me, you were easier than we were. Bill's wife, Cindy, said she was with me when I took my first airplane flight. I was scared. It was a 50-minute ride from Columbus to Chicago, and she held my hand the whole time, which is very much what you were saying. She passed away in Vernon Hills, Illinois, last Thursday, March 13th, after a long and a dynamic life. She was a personality. She was a force of nature. She was dynamic. And now she's at peace. There's no more deterioration or suffering of her body or her mind. And just as Shabbat is a time of rest, so too for Jackie, now this is a time of rest and peace. Our Jewish tradition teaches and Judaism believes that her soul returns to God. Her soul returns to God to be with the souls of her dear loved ones who have passed and ancestors of our people. And we learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. And one day all of us will join our loved ones in Olam Haba, the world to come. Olam Haba is a spiritual place. This is a physical place. We're going to a cemetery, which is a physical place. Olam Haba is a spiritual time. And our souls will be together with our loved ones in this eternal time. We're sending along a prayer book, an old prayer book, and a Haggadah with her in the casket. It's a mitzvah not only to escort the body of a loved one to its final resting place, but also holy books of our tradition. And the Haggadah in particular, because Pesach is a time, and we're coming up to Passover, it's a time when we recall for our ancient liberation from Egyptian slavery thousands of years ago, and we still feel it today. We're free today because of God's deliverance, those many, many years ago, and now your dear Jackie has been liberated, and she's been delivered from this illness and this suffering and this pain. Your memories are filled to overflowing with thoughts of your dear Jackie, and we give thanks to God for this gift of long life. We would have hoped for more years, and we would have hoped for more years in health, and we thank God for the time that we had, the time we were blessed with. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 20. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai muvarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And let us say, Amen. In a moment, we'll go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery after the El Malei Rachamim prayer. I would like to let you know that Shiva will be at the house of Lance. Who's Lance? Hi, Lance. At his house. His and Tracy, probably Tracy's house, but she lets him live there. Lance and Tracy at 30, I don't even know him, but I'm another guy who's married, so you already know this stuff. All right? 32,287 Springside Lane. After going to the cemetery, we'll go there for the Shiva household. We'll be there until about 8 o'clock tonight. We'll do some prayers there as well and eat some good food. And if you care to make a donation in her loving memory, the family has asked, in lieu of flowers, please send donations to the Alzheimer's Association. Other places I'm sure as well, but that would be the first of many. She'll be on a Kaddish list at Temple Israel near Tamid. We're saying Kaddish for her every Friday night. Service is at 7:30. The Hebrew school kids this afternoon will say Kaddish for her. Sunday school kids will say Kaddish for her on Sundays, and she'll be on the Kaddish list of many other congregations as well. Please rise for El Malei Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Jackie White. Yenta Freda Bat Chaim Varachel. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Ametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utohorim, Gezohar Ki Amazirim, Et Nishmat Yenta Freda Bat Chaim V'Rachel, Shahalacha L'Olama Ba'al Harachamim, Yastireha B'Seiter Kenafav Le'olamim, Vayitzroh B'Tzorah HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Jackie White, Yenta Freda Bat Chaim V'Rachel. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. The funeral directors will come and give us directions as we will go to escort her body to its final resting place.